Hello and welcome. This is Angie with thecountrysheetcottage.net. So today we're going to take regular envelopes you might be using for greeting cards or Christmas cards, and we are going to address those with our Cricut machine. Now this procedure will work with any of the Cricut machines. I'm going to do mine on my Cricut Explore. You can follow the same procedure for the Cricut Maker. You can even do envelopes on the Cricut Joy as long as they were small enough to fit on the mat, and then you could write on them in the same manner. Now I'm going to look at different pen types, using different pen types and writing on envelopes. And then we're going to look at foiling with the new foil transfer tool and adding your addresses to envelopes. Now with the foil transfer tool, that does not work on the Joy, so you would not be able to do that particular envelope type on the Joy itself. So first let's take a look at the supplies we're going to use, and then we'll head to Cricut Design Space and take a look at how to address those envelopes. You're going to need your Explore machine or your Maker, or even your Joy if you're going to use the pens. Then I'm going to use like 3 different pens, just kind of show you the difference between the look. I'm going to use these cute aqua envelopes, and then we'll also foil one with the foil transfer tip as well as some gold foil. I'm starting with a rectangle that is the same size as my envelope. My envelope is 5 3/4 wide and 4 3/8 high. So you just draw a rectangle, put your dimensions in these boxes, and be sure to check the unlock button so you can make the sizes exact. Now that we have that rectangle, we're just going to use it to go by for placement. So the first thing we're going to do is add an address. Once you've added that address, you can then start working on resizing it, as well as picking your font. So what I want to do is use fonts that are writing fonts. So I'm going to filter my fonts for Cricut fonts that have a writing setting. And so then we can scroll through here and find a font that looks good for the project we're working on. So I'm going to use everyday fonts. A is for Alice. We can see what that looks like there. And then for the name in the middle, you can align this in the center. You can also change your line spacing. So if I wanted to tighten that up a little bit, I might change it to like a -2, puts it pretty close together. And I might change I like this font a little bit better, so I changed it to Everyday Fonts, Big Day, the writing style. All right, so then you would do the same thing for a return address, but this one you would probably want to align it left. So now we have a return address as well as a to address. And now we can use the rectangle to size these appropriately. So I like the way this looks, and I might make this one a little smaller. And then I can actually pick, say, the rectangle and the to address and do alignment, align in the center. And now that's perfectly in the center. And I put my return address where I like it up here, and I can also bump that maybe just a little bit. All right, so that's pretty close to there. So now we want to make sure, the first thing we want to make sure is that these are draw lines and that we have the right pen picked, or if we wanted it in 2 different colors, we could pick 2 different pens. Just depending on how you want your project to look, you can pick 2 different colors. So then we actually don't need the envelope. We are going to write this on an envelope that's pre-cut. So we can actually delete off the envelope itself. And then we want to pick both addresses and click attach. Now, when we click make it, you will see the 2 addresses and they stay exactly like they were. Now we do want to note something here. So the Cricut itself puts everything a 1/4 inch down 1/4 inch over from the edge. So you can align your envelope just slightly in from the edge to account for that, or you can move your names around and addresses around within that rectangle to account for that. So just keep that in mind, that it will actually move your addresses slightly. And so one more thing I wanted to show you before we leave Design Space. So I made these both a draw with a pen. The other thing we could do, we could make them foil, and we could pick foil fine, and then we could actually foil the names onto our envelopes. So this would be amazing for Christmas cards, to actually add that foiled effect to your cards, all with your Cricut machine. So let's take a look at both drawing and foiling on envelopes with a Cricut. So now let's break out the Cricut and address some envelopes. The first thing we want to do is put the envelope onto the mat. So we're going to put it flap side down. And again, I'm going to put it probably 1/8 of an inch from the top and the side edge. And I'm going to press it down really well. And then we're just going to open this Explorer. And we're going to use, let's try this pink pen first. So this is a glitter gel tip pen. And we're going to put that in the pen side of our Explorer. So what you want to do is open clamp A, put the pen into the machine, and I like to hold it from the bottom, press it down until it clicks, close the clamp. Then we can load our mat. We'll just press the arrow to load that in, and then press the C to start. So this envelope's done, and I'm going to remove it. And I do want to note something. So I moved these star wheels all the way over. So these gel pens have a tendency to streak as the rollers run over it. This roller, however, runs across this portion of my envelope. So if you can see that, it smeared just a little bit on the return address. So I would recommend, if you want to use the glitter gel pens, that you go ahead and locate your envelope on one of these other lines. So like maybe the 1 inch by the 1 inch line, and then locate your text accordingly so that the roller doesn't roll over any of the text. That way it won't leave that streaking on any of the side. So that's just one tip for using those gel pens. But we'll go ahead and leave it the same for the black and gold, because I really think they'll be fine. It's just those gel pens have a tendency to take a little while to dry. But there you can see our name and address. And now we'll go ahead and change this out. Put that gold pen in, close that clamp. We'll put the envelope on in the same manner as we did before, and go ahead and load that in and write with the gold pen. So here's the gold pen. So this is a gold, it's a 1.0 tip pen. And one tip is to always remove your mat from your envelopes so your envelopes don't curl. So again, this pen dries fairly fast, so we didn't have that same streaking problem on the roller, so it was not a problem. Now this is the 1.0 tip, so you can see it's kind of a broad line. Next, we're going to use a black pen, and this is the fine tip, so the 0.4, and we'll kind of see what that looks like as well. So I'm always a sucker for a basic black pen, so I really like this one. But next, let's try the foil and just see what happens. We're going to put the envelope on the mat in the same position we have been. This time we're going to add the foil sheet over the top. And this is the tape that comes with the foil sheet pieces. Now, one thing I want to note is this foil sheet is actually larger than my envelope. If it gets stuck to this mat, it will stick to the mat and stay on the mat. So I'm going to trim just a little bit of that, just so it's shorter. And now we can just use the tape strips to tape this right into place. And now we can add this to our machine. Now we'll add our foil transfer tool to the B clamp, and I've removed any pin from the A clamp. Then we can add our envelope with the foil attached to the Cricut. And I've changed the lines to foil lines in Cricut Design Space. And now we can foil our envelope. And now our foiling's done. We can remove this. Now we'll just peel back this tape carefully away from the envelope. You can see that gorgeous gold foil, hopefully, name and address on the envelope. So whether you want to foil your names and addresses or draw them, you can do either one with your Cricut machines. The same procedure applies whether you're using your Cricut Explore, your Cricut Maker, or your Cricut Joy, although you won't be able to use the foil with the Joy. So there you have 4 examples of adding addresses to your envelopes with your Cricut. All right, tons of different options for you. Hands down, my favorite is the 0.4 tip black pen. I just like it for just everyday general use. Now, if I was doing like holiday greeting cards, I would probably experiment some more with the foil tips, maybe even do like a bold line and experiment with the different fonts and come up with something really amazing for your holiday cards. That would be a great look. Again, if you're going to use anything like the gel pens, you may want to move the envelope over and down on the mat and then move the text itself over and down in Cricut Design Space before you draw it, because that roller leaves that streak on the edge. So just a warning, those gel pens take a while to dry. And then if you're going to use the wider pens, like the 1.0 or something like that, experiment with different fonts. I liked the gold 1.0 pen on the address, the to address, but the from address, it was a little crowded. So you could definitely use 2 different pen types, right? So you could use the 1.0 on the to line and then change the pen type for the from address to that 0.4, similar to the black one that we did. And then it would be perfect on both sides. So just kind of experiment around with the pen types, the fonts you choose, as well as what option from all of the ones that I've showed you works for you. Now, I will link below to everything that I used today, as well as a video for the foil transfer tool itself. If you're confused about that, haven't seen that yet, I have a great video all about the foil transfer tool, and you can watch that to see more about that. So if this video helped you, please give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions about anything we covered today, any questions about addressing envelopes with your Cricut machine, please ask those in the comment section below. If you haven't already, head on over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We have Cricut videos every week, and you don't want to miss any of those. So thank y'all so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.